How's everyone doing? It's been a minute here. Sorry for the lack of updates. I was waiting for crypto to start making some moves into some of the key areas of interest that we've highlighted over the past couple of videos. But I'm here. I am coming with an update here, and we're at a very interesting time in the market right now. Bitcoin's knocking on the door of an all-time high. Altcoins look like they're going to break out. Some of them have, but some of them aren't. It's a confusing time for some, but let's get right into the video here. We're on the total crypto market cap here with on the monthly time frame. And this is, as you can see, a little bit different than Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we haven't reached the all-time high yet. Total, we have because of coins like Ethereum and altcoins have pumped. But we are, not to put a damper on things here. I know everyone's probably getting a little bit excited right now, but I'm tending to think there's a big flush coming. And I'll go over why in the video. But me saying this does not actually indicate that I think the bull market is done. I know not everything is played out perfectly, like I highlighted in the video, but I was playing probabilities, not exactly what's going to happen. I'm not a mind reader, but here we are anyway. Monthly time frame, we have, as of today, just wicked a new all-time high. You see that was today that wicked through, and right now we are, we've come back into the range, which is to be expected on daily time frame. However, on the weekly time frame is more, I don't know if concerning is the right word, but that's kind of where I'm thinking right now. So the weekly closes in just over a day. Over this weekend, it'll close. And if you like the bullish scenario, you want this body to close above here. You don't want this closing into this range here. Because, I could show you times on like Bitcoin where this happens in the past and it leads to sell-offs. But the one thing too is if you look at the monthly, right, the same candle right there is right above this fair value gap on the daily that we've been monitoring forever for things to come back into. And if this closes on the weekly below there, I'm believing that this is very good possibility that this could sell off to go to the low of the candle and into this fair value gap. In which case, it doesn't seem like the most, but that would be a, 15% decline on total, and definitely would bring a lot of fear to the markets. For Bitcoin, that would probably bring the price down to, the areas that we've talked about in previous videos again, which are this, 104 area region, K area region. Again, let's look at Bitcoin, and this is weird. This is a Binance feed, but this didn't go as high on Binance as like Kraken. The Kraken, you can clearly see that it hasn't taken out all-time highs, or Coinbase as well. Same thing with the Coinbase feed, but it hasn't reached the all-time highs. But let's go over sometimes what happens when it takes out previous wicks here, buy side liquidity as it's known as in some terms. Here's one scenario where it takes it out, wicks close back within the range and then sells off, right? And you can see that is a 30% sell off on Bitcoin after something like that happens. We've gone over it in the previously where things like this, it closes within the range, right? I guess that one just closed over. This is more of a weekly zone. Yeah, if you look on the weekly, it doesn't close. It does push up one more time, but then leads to a sell-off. So it's not for sure just because we close under that it's automatically going to sell off, but there are warning signs that I'm seeing with Bitcoin. And some of it is just, I'll go over on Twitter here, but the open interest on Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high. So it's not perfectly leveraged, but this is essentially leveraged. So the market has never been more levered up than it is right now. And usually this doesn't last long and it doesn't end well, right? Because, that's what market makers do. They push prices up, they put the FOMO in, and everyone levers up thinking that we're going on runs and going to new all-time highs, blah, 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 blah. And then, they dump and things get, ugly for the most part. This is not just open interest. I mean, here's again, open interest has just hit a new all-time high here, and it's, you know, down 3% from all-time highs, while leverage is hitting new all-time highs. That looks not the most bullish. The same thing, we have a liquidation heat map where $130,000 will liquidate $1.5 billion in short liquidations. But if it goes down to 105, it'll be 15 billion. So there's more money to be made by market makers by going down, right? If we are looking at total again, we know weekly time frame. There's never been a liquidation of any of these points, really. Even the most recent sell-off we had right here, right before we started pumping, we didn't even take out lows. Same thing with Bitcoin. Didn't even take out lows. Right? So just looking at this chart, just kind of logically here, if this thing was to, you know, if this thing was to hit a new all-time high, come back in, why would you not be putting aside your own interest in what you want the market to do? What would be more logical? Taking a short, targeting liquidity? What would be more logical? That, or after the liquidation point, the buy side liquidity has already been hit, would you be thinking that you'd be wanting to long this in fair value gaps? Well, I mean, it's possible, but again, once you've reached the liquidation point, you know, then you have to think that there's an opportunity for it to reverse. Now, we'll see what happens if and when it does reach the all-time high, but just, you know, I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure, but what you would want to happen is basically like this. If you have a previous all-time high here and it doesn't wick and a full body closes through like this above the all-time high, well, then that's different. Then you can start being like, okay, we were really getting to the euphoric part of the bull run here, and things are just going to get silly over the next little while, right? So that's something to think about. USDT D dominance. This is an area that we've talked about on the channel before. You can see, we can go back to previous videos and see, but this is, you know, this is an area we've gone over to look at for longing. This was a bullish fair value gap again, which did not hold, which indicates we are going a little bit lower. And again, when we go lower, the market does pump. So things do kind of fall in line with, you know, if we get the close on total inside the candle, then maybe to start the new week on Monday during stock market open or something. You know, that I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just looking at what could happen. Stock market opens, what happens? Maybe it spikes up one more time above here. That coincides with Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high and then sells off, right? That's a possibility. It's something that happened with the NASDAQ today, right? It happened basically 2 days in a row. You can see it just wipes out and then sells off, right? So we'll see what happens when that comes around. I'm not going to make any predictions, at least not until the weekly candle closes. But if the weekly candle closes in the range and we get a spike up during like Monday morning stock market New York open, which coincides with Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high, and then we start to see it sell off, I'm going to think that we're going to dump because of, you know, these things that are running the short interest, the open interest, the leverage in the system, and the fact that we have all of this liquidity below us. Even others, same thing, like the recent sell-offs, they didn't take out any of these liquidities. If this candle had just come down here, you know, if this had just come down here or down here, that would have been more optimal. But even if it just had taken out this point and then recovered from there, you know, I would be in a different mindset. But it kind of looks like a trap to me, if I'm being honest. And I'm not trying to be a bear here. You know, I have open positions. I did take a lot of profits on some of my coins, like Avalanche, for example, IMX during the spikes. But I do have a lot of capital that I am looking to reallocate. I do have money in coins though still. So if things run higher, I'm going to be making money. And if we do get a big dump, I'm still looking at this level for others, and if that happens, I'll be looking to deploy my money in there. I think that'll bring max fear as well. Like, Bitcoin, same thing, coming down here into this area. That I think that'll bring a lot of fear. Ethereum, if you look at the video, we have done exactly what I called in the last video. If you can go back and look at that. But, we came into the change of state of delivery, the order block here. We perfectly tapped inside of that. And what was inside of that? Well, the daily fair value gap, which was highlighted in the last video. So that we got a perfect reaction out of there. We are moving pretty strongly out of there. So there is, and if we get a weekly close, then technically this would be, a bullish change in state of delivery as well, as long as we close above this candle's body here, right there. But I'm not going to put too much emphasis on this. But this does look like it could take another run, and who knows? Maybe it spikes again above this high and then sells off. I'm not saying for sure. We are inside of this as well, so you never know. But what is interesting about Ethereum though too is that we do have this weekly imbalance which was filled there, but if we go to the monthly, we have this monthly bullish fair value gap. So that would be a bit of a decline, 25, 30%, maybe 35 at the most if we get back to under $3,000. Maybe the $3,000 level holds, but if it comes down in here, that looks to me like a very good buying opportunity for Ethereum moving forward, because you can see as well, like if we look at this, we just wicked the all-time high, which is again what I'm thinking as a possibility with Bitcoin. Get near the all-time high, sell off a bit, wick up, close into the range, and then sell off a little bit, right? If we look at total 2, so this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin, we have hit the new all-time high, but you can see we're not closing above it, which does show that you can pull back. There is some opportunity, even on, I don't even think we've closed on the daily. No, we haven't. We haven't closed above it on the daily. So that's interesting. And, same thing. That one, this is the only thing. That at least took that out, but it left the major liquidity points here and here. So, this looks like if this sells off, this would be a really good opportunity to buy all that up moving forward. Total 3 looks, it finally closed above, I believe. Oh, maybe not on a weekly, we'll see. Yeah, okay, this week did finally close above unless we sell off here, but this could pull back as well. This one does look a little bit more bullish than the other ones, but regardless, if Bitcoin sells off big time, everything's going down. So the USDT chart, I'm thinking that if this goes down as well, coinciding with the push up, that this will have one more push down, liquidate these points and these points, and then from there, again, I'm not predicting, but maybe it starts going here and then something like that, The other thing interesting is Bitcoin dominance. So this is another reason why I'm thinking that there could be a bit of a dump coming here. So we have just created this this fair value gap here, which could obviously sell off, but if this one inverts it and goes up to the weekly, or this could also be a monthly if you're just, taking it like that, that could be a monthly, but we'll keep it on the weekly here just to make it easier here. So this looks, at least on the daily, this looks like it's about to explode up to me. So if that happens, that either means that Bitcoin is going on a run and alts and Ethereum are going to lag behind, or else we're crashing. And when we crash, Bitcoin dominance also goes up. So if we do see this continue higher, we're either, like I said, we're either crashing or Bitcoin's running without everything else, right? That is something to think about. Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. This looks like, it kind of looks like it could go either way, to be honest, because we have just gone into, you know, this fair value gap, which looks like it could be going lower, at least into these areas of interest here. But if we close above this, you know, we have the monthly fair value gap right above here. So it could spike up there and then go lower. Time will tell. But I did just want to go over some of those charts with everyone. A little bit of, you know, maybe a warning if you're in some heavy profit in any coins specifically. You know, I know some people have asked me about Solana. I haven't looked at the chart in a while. Let's see. So again, another scenario, another, you know, example of just when we don't close above the previous all-time high, how you can get sell-offs, right? So weekly. So we're inside of this. After buy side was taken, doesn't close above, sells off. This coincides with a breaker. Yeah, I mean, for Solana, honestly, to me, it really looks like you want this to hold here and go higher, or else this looks like this could sell off here. But if this holds, you know, you could be fine. But yeah, this looks like, and it is possible as well that, you know, we just wick above the high one more time if we get a push up. You know, that big push I'm talking about, we could wick the high and then close down below and start going as well. That's always a possibility. But yeah, anyway, my warning here is just, I don't know if warning's the right word, but if you're in some heavy profit right now, it's not the worst time right now to be taking a little bit off the table. You know, even if you know, you don't have to take it all, but if you take some off, you're going to feel a lot better if the market dumps, because A, you've got some profit banked, and B, you got money to buy the dip. There's nothing worse than FOMOing in at the top or having zero money to buy the dip and watching your portfolio go down and down and down. There's nothing you can do about it, right? I'm not saying for sure that it's going to dump, but it looks to me like, you know, pretty decent chance that this could take a bit of an ugly turn. You know, the fact that it just didn't liquidate any of these lows, it just tells me that, you know, there's people are making money right now. And when people are making money and you want to screenshot your portfolio, take profits instead, because usually it doesn't last too long. It's very levered up. You know, I'm still looking to long this area, by the way. So I'm not thinking the bull run's done, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. So if you liked the video, if you got any value out of it, please like the video, comment with any questions. I'll be back. I'll check the video tomorrow and the day after with any questions to look at answering some questions. And I might even host a little mini live if people want, and they can, you know, in a couple days, Sunday or whatever. And, you know, people can ask me about their altcoins, and I'll go over some charts of individual altcoins and see, take a quick, you know, analysis of it and see where I think it could be going, if that's helpful to anyone. So if that is, please leave that in the comments. All right. Thanks, guys. Until next time.